Welcome to the Impact Room, brought to you by Douglas Jackson, who help you hire more impactful, diverse leaders who stay for longer and are more successful. The Impact Room is a business, CX and leadership podcast where exceptional, diverse and impactful leadership and wisdom is shared. We dive deep into pressing topics that impact your customer-led business, featuring interviews with CEOs, COOs, Chief Customer, Chief People Officers, directors, influential leaders and subject matter experts who share their lived experiences, top tips, thoughts, advice and industry trends to help elevate existing and future talent. So let's dive into our next episode, and please don't forget to like, subscribe or share if you enjoy this content. Thank you.
Hi, Kerr Fletcher here, Practice Lead of Operational Support at Douglas Jackson, helping you hire proven leaders and subject matter experts across resource planning, data, insight, AI and analytics. Hello and welcome to today's session where I'm joined by Scott Kerr, who's the Head of Experience Management and Conversations at Eviden. So Scott has previously worked for Sky and British Gas within speech analytics and other analytical and insight tools within the customer space. So Scott, before we get started, do you want to just give us a quick 1 minute elevator pitch of who you are, what you're about and what you're doing now, really?
Yeah, thanks, Perry. So firstly, thank you for the opportunity to speak with you and your network. Been looking forward to this for some time because I know we've tried on a few occasions. So yeah, I've got over 20 years experience working in the contact center industry in different organizations from media, energy, aerospace, finance, etc. My principal role as the head of customer experience and conversational analytics is to work with new and existing clients to transform their customer experience practice using sentiment, conversational AI, and other analytical tools to basically improve their customer experience adoption and success engineering. So it's a very diverse role, very good client base, and never a dull moment, Perry.
Brilliant stuff. Okay, brilliant. And Scott, you've recently wrote a white paper, which is obviously the reason why we're here to talk today as well, because I found this white paper quite an eye opener, because obviously it looked at customer insight and AI and how it can all be used to improve, say, that end-to-end customer experience, really. And it kind of, I mean, say the thing that drew me to your white paper was it did challenge a few kind of thoughts as well, which was really interesting. So would you just be able to give us a quick 1 minute overview of that white paper? And then obviously I've got some further questions to go into that white paper on anyway.
So yeah, I mean, we're working with Eviden, which is part of the Atos group. We specialize in digital transformation, but ultimately working with all types of new technology to improve experiences, journey optimization, and revenues, etc. And what we decided to do is to kind of bring our expertise together and go into the marketplace with our thought leadership piece, bringing the emerging technologies of AI and everything that brings, but how that can be optimized and harnessed to drive business and improve relationships and experience. So it's a really interesting time from a tech emergence perspective.
No, brilliant stuff. And obviously, one thing that I really took from your report, it did highlight obviously the rapid evolution that customer experience is going through at the moment. Like you just mentioned, everything with the tools, the technology, the AI,
Yes.
et cetera, et cetera. But from your perspective, what is the single biggest shift or thing that a business can do to prepare for 2025 and this kind of evolution of customer experience insight?
So I think one of the main themes that will come across in this conversation, Perry, is that very much for me is that regardless of technology, which we'll get into no doubt through the dialogue, it's about people. How you harness your people with an open mindset to leverage new and emerging technologies. That is the principle or the fundamental for me, and with Atos and Eviden more generally. But in terms of insight opportunities, with new and emerging technology, there's always fear. Initially people are quite reluctant, but from our research and from what I can see in the marketplace now and in the next few years, there are a few principal elements that I think we need to touch on. So firstly, it's about the harnessing of of predictive analytics. So it's been using that data and all the great data that's disparate within an organization and bringing that together by channel, really just trying to ensure that we can join up those journeys and orchestrate and improve the experiences. That personalization is going to be critical to understanding, new emerging trends, customer behavior, and making sure that when you are engaging with an operation or an organization, you are marketed in the right way, not oversaturated based on your previous purchase behavior or preferred communication style. I think the other key component is looking more into voice and sentiment analytics, understanding effort, understanding emotion, and harnessing, existing natural language processing with the AI-driven sentiment analysis, which is now in the marketplace. But for me, the key thing to unlocking that will be making sure there's a human-centered design principle that ensures that we pull all those elements together. I mean, more data and tooling is one thing, but harnessing and synthesizing that information to drive value and insight is critical, and then acting on that insight to drive value. And that's very much what we stand ourselves apart from when it comes to working with our clients and our partners. And then I think the final thing, Perry, is personalization. As there's more and more data, and as I said, it gets synthesized and brought together. It's about making those outcomes and those interactions count. Making sure that things are tailored to the individual as best we can.
No, brilliant stuff. So just coming back to your first point that you made there, and on predictive
Yes.
analytics and AI and stuff, and that, I mean, as you say, that's really kind of shaping now, and it is really shaping how businesses engage with their customers completely. But I don't know whether you've got kind of a couple or a big standout example of how companies have successfully used predictive analytics and AI with their technologies to really drive customer experience.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll touch on a couple of kind of known examples. It touches everybody's life, and we take it for granted in a sense. But I'll target into a couple of smaller, unique examples or use cases that really kind of got me excited. So obviously we all know about Sky Television with personalized adverts based on viewing behavior and purchasing. We've all got Netflix. We all know about the reels and how that personalized recommendation will push content based on, again, your previous patterns of viewing behavior, and that's why it's important to have multiple profiles in the household to avoid any arguments. As a massive music fan, I love the personalization of Spotify. Sometimes Spotify knows the music I want to listen to before I do, which is staggering when I did Discover Weekly. It's a function I always go to every Friday. But there's a couple of smaller, probably less known examples, Perry, and I'm keen to just touch on those. So there's one particular example where we're harnessing the AI and all the existing data from a medical perspective. So trying to predict and manage disease outcomes faster and more accurately based on all of your information, which is really, really powerful. It's in its infancy. It has great examples, but clearly it's something that would have to be done with the right care and consideration, using those predictive models to help diagnosis, to help allocation of medicine and treatment planning. The other one, though, again, it's really personal to me, and I'm sure to most people as pet owners or dog owners. There's one particular example of an organisation called Farmer's Dog. I can't recall. And what that does is, if you harness your pets or your dog's information, Perry, you can, with your breed, your medical history, etc., it can provide a recommended dog diet. So it keeps your dog food plans together. Now that may sound quite silly, but we all know we give the dog treats, don't we, when we shouldn't. So this gives you more data and insight to try and manage your best friend's lifestyle, if that makes sense. So it's really interesting because the AI is spread into all industries and all organizations and all part of life, Perry.
No, interesting. Yeah, I think obviously with the diet piece, I mean, obviously coming back to the medical, there's you know, no reason that can't be done in the human world as well. I think we all we
Yeah,
could all
yeah,
sometimes overindulge on a few things, especially at Christmas. And
very
that's
much
why
so.
we're post Christmas, everyone. Oh yeah, but no, brilliant stuff.
Yeah,
So obviously you mentioned quite a lot there on this kind of hyper personalization
yeah.
piece. You know, it's a major opportunity for many businesses. You know, the more personalized you can get, the better data, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the rewards are endless a little bit. But given data privacy regulations are becoming stricter and stricter across the globe,
hmm
how do you see companies striking the right balance between personalization and customer trust? You know, I mean, obviously there was that
Yeah,
live
yeah,
example a few years ago with Boots sending out vouchers at certain times of the month to women. And stuff, and obviously it was landing the week before, and that went to court, etc., on that. So,
yeah,
you know, and customers are yeah, customer trust, you know, as you say, like, yes, I mean, you don't mind when you click your Netflix and, you know, it recommends, like you say, your Spotify or whatever else. But yeah, if it's starting to get personal, especially on that stuff that you mentioned
yeah,
with the
yeah.
medical and knowing what you're eating or drinking on a Saturday night, whatever it is, yeah, how
God
how
knows.
can yeah, how do you see companies striking the right balance between that, I say, that
Yeah.
personalization and the
It,
customer trust?
it's a really interesting point. I think all organizations want to deepen
Mm,
relationships with customers for obvious reasons. Once you've got a deeper relationship, there's opportunities to broaden the appeal of the services and products that it can be promoted. But it's a very, very fine line. I think the key thing is to build, trust and make sure there's full transparency. So it's an interesting point. We're working with a client just recently around the EU AI laws that came into effect in the Q3 last year. It was an interesting point, but some of the key themes there though are pertinent and will become more kind of common knowledge. We obviously have to apply the guardrails. Yeah, we have to make
yeah.
sure that the transparency for GDPR, CCPA, and privacy is done by design. We also, for me, again, that personalization is a fine line to tread because
Mm,
in of in order to deepen those relationships and harness that information, you have to offer real value for me
yeah.
to in exchange for that data. So it's making sure that there's some incentive-based model. For
Yeah.
example, as I touched on earlier, Spotify for me, that the wrapped piece, the annual wrap piece, and I know that didn't go down well this year.
Yeah.
And then there's the Discover Weekly, all that type of stuff is really useful.
Mm,
The data collection has to try and be a little bit more specific and tailored. It has to be minimized where possible, and obviously getting uh, customers and clients and partners willingly to share data as well. So it's a new and emerging space, but it's
mm.
something that's very much going to develop in terms of being transparent, providing control, but ensuring the ethics are transparent and also the guardrails are applied.
Oh, interesting. I think you mentioned a good point at the very start of that as well. I say it's about building trust, isn't it? You know, don't
Yeah,
just go
very
in
much
with
so.
the golden nugget that for the business perspective. Oh,
Yeah,
this is what we think you need. It's testing things, isn't it? It's
yeah.
building that trust.
Uh,
Actually, you know, if you were to send like the Boots example, or you say like the Spotify example, it's kind of oh, that feels like a big invasion of my privacy. If
yeah,
you've been doing it slowly and building it up, that actually the expectations there, people kind of go, oh, this is exciting. But yeah, if you kind of just go, we've been
yeah,
looking at your data for the last 12 months, you go, well, I didn't know that, even though everyone does. You know,
yeah.
I've got
Uh,
Google speakers all over my house, and everyone's like, oh, but what about if Google are listening? I'm like, I don't care. You
always
know,
listening.
but yeah, but you know, it's kind of like,
But
but yeah, you know, it is that, you know, if Google fed to me information that slowly and built up, you know, obviously I
yeah,
get monthly reports from Google and whatever else saying, oh, these are the locations I've visited. I've got an Android phone, these are the locations I've visited in the last month or whatever else. You know, I'm fine with that. But as you say, if then Google turned around and went, you were doing this and spent this amount of money in this shop and whatever else, then you got
yeah.
to go, whoa, hang on a minute, how much data have you
I
got?
think
But you say it's how you do it. It's an interesting point there.
Yeah, I think if we go back a step as well, your point about the example of Boots, again, for me and for Eviden and Atos, it's having that human lens. So
Mm,
it's making sure that people are involved in the design of these processes, these promotions or the nudging, etc. Using the behavioral analytics to ensure, is this the right thing to do? You know, how will this be perceived? You know, that felt like it obviously maybe overstepped from the example you said earlier,
Yeah,
Perry,
yeah.
but Atos and Eviden, you know, it's very much having, you know, our clients and our partners at the heartbeat of the decision making, but also, does it feel right? Is this the right thing to do from a personal perspective is
Mm.
super important.
Well, no, it's true. I mean, obviously, I've got two young children. Like, and obviously, you know what, and you know what, my all of the major supermarkets. I mean, obviously, both of my kids are out and nappies and stuff now. But you know, during the time where we were buying nappies regular, most of the major supermarkets on their apps and whatever else, my voucher of the week was to do with nappies. But it was brilliant for me. I was like, yeah, if I can save money on
Yeah,
nappies,
exactly,
then why
exactly.
not? So say there is that personalisation. And there is, isn't it? Really, it's that. I get it, and I think, but it's, as I say, it's how you do it, isn't it? You know, I suppose
Yeah,
you say a little subtle. Here you go in an app is completely different to receiving vouchers in the post, for instance. You know what I mean? So yeah, no, really
yeah,
interesting point there. And saying how you build that customer trust as stuff, and with the, say, instead of just throwing it all in at once. But fine, obviously coming on to back to your report a little bit then. So your report mentions a lot
yeah,
on,
yeah,
data quality, AI bias,
yeah,
integration issues, all the key challenges that we're hearing across the industry when it's coming to AI. So,
yeah,
which of these do you think's the most underestimated, and what can businesses do to tackle it efficiently? You know, as I say, is the one that stand out
yeah.
going, oh yeah, the integration issues, that's not our problem, it's the people we're buying it off, they'll sort that out, or the data quality or the AI bias. Yeah, which one do you
Yeah.
think companies are kind of going, yeah, that's a challenge, but we'll get over that? We're actually, it's harder than it
Yeah,
looks.
it, it's an interesting point. With early adoption, there's always teething problems as
Yep.
well. Of course, the data quality is absolutely paramount. Of course, the
Yeah.
integration will not work if if you've not got a clean data set and it's fully understood. And then can be optimized and integrated. I think there's a couple of things though that need to be aware of when it comes to some of the key challenges of using AI and some of that data from a personalization perspective. Um, the key thing is the data quality and the training models. They have to be as diverse as possible. They have to be as representative because ultimately, if you build a foundation on on sand, it will eventually fall over or provide
Mm,
inaccurate results or a misrepresentation of your customer base or the previous interactions. I think as the emerging guardrails in AI, GDPR and other rulings and rules come into place, we need to ensure that we've got AI controls and fairness tools and assessments. And again, for me, I keep saying this, making sure people are involved in the critiquing of all the journey orchestration, all the process, all the data quality to ensure that the people who have the fundamental knowledge of the business and products and services, etc., are very much involved. We cannot relinquish too much control
yeah.
to data and AI and the automated responses, as fantastic as it is. We need to keep our feet in the ground and ensure the ethics and regulatory frameworks are followed. And it's always, human-centered design.
No, brilliant stuff. Okay, interesting. And yeah, I mean, that's it, isn't it, really? I was having a conversation with a client of mine a couple of weeks ago, actually, and they said very similar thing, actually. Like, we've got customer service experts within the business that manage customer experience and can performance manage our
Exactly.
agent, can look at our online channels, can look at our frequently asked questions. We can improve customer experience constantly by managing these processes and using, as say, performance management. But that was the big thing. Actually, he said that his biggest concern was I've got no one to performance manage my bot or the AI. So yeah, it's a really big point actually. Yeah, is it a skill set that businesses might be missing, or even, as I say, might have, but do just
Yeah.
aren't thinking of yet? Because obviously, yeah, as you say, you don't want the AI to go wild,
Yeah.
if that makes
And
sense. Yeah.
I think again, I remember, and I'm sure lots of people listening to this, technology evolves and moves. I remember being,
Mm,
working with British Gas when it came to speech analytics, and it's making sure that, what the value you can unlock and deliver is understood and not
Yeah.
over sensationalized. We all knew that, using voice and interaction analytics would provide more data, but it's not the data itself, it's how you then use that information to drive tangible and real business outcomes. So it's the same with AI. As much as we get more personalization, more data, more functionality, it's making sure that we, walk before we can run, I suppose, with some of this information to ensure that hypotheses and goals, etc., are set on the right objectives.
No, brilliant stuff. So what next? Look
Oh,
ahead to
goodness.
yeah, I knew that might have got that response. But what next? So let's put a time frame on it. But I mean, obviously, I read a stat the other day that we've got I think it's something like 20% more data today than we did in 2020, and we're going to get 70 more in the next 3 years. So yeah, I will put a time frame, and let's say let's do kind of 5 years from now. Let's fast forward to 2030. How do you think customer insight will have evolved beyond what you see today? But not just that, what I suppose, how do you see where it goes? But let's start with that question, and I've got a follow-up question from that. Let's start with there. Go on.
Still there, Perry?
So how do you think customer insight will have evolved beyond today, and how do you think it will look in 2030?
It's a good question. I'm a bit of a sci-fi geek. I love I love technology and movies, and see how things are absolutely embraced in day-to-day life. So I think there's going to be more involvement around AI personal assistants. I think that's definitely become more commonplace. Even if we go back 5, 7 years, Google, Alexa, etc. They're now with the very fabric of everybody's home. So there'll be more involvement around, purchasing decisions and, behavior. I think that's definitely going to increase. I think there's going to potentially be an emergence of more an improved prediction from a quantum perspective and an emotion AI detection. I think that's definitely something that's going to maybe be a real key point in customer experience. And then I think if you think more broadly as well, if you know about Mr. Musk, leaving politics to the side, his neural network organization is definitely something that's going to be something, not just 5 years, but down the line in terms of detecting customer emotion and obviously, from a health detection perspective. So I think from a CX perspective, bringing it back to that, I think the prediction and the speed of prediction and the accuracy of prediction around personalization is going to improve, but it will, in our opinion, be a slow process, but it will be a longer delivery, and those organizations that can get involved, get the processes mapped, get the right people, and it's making sure we get wins, that organizations and clients can see value, because there's a massive bubble around the capital expenditure limits of some of these organizations, but it's what we do with the information, it's how you drive value. So it always comes back to those principles for us at Eviden.
No, brilliant stuff. And I think, you're right. I mean, ROI is so huge now, and I think, as you say, people do want to see. And I think people realise it's not going to be an overnight success with the ROI. But what is the long-term ROI? Or and I think obviously just keeping in that customer experience piece, there is a lot of people out there at the moment. Isn't there a question? Am I better off just hiring 20 extra agents to handle that case, or am I better off implementing AI? What is the long-term ROI, or is there an ROI? And I think it's also the hidden cost of it as well, isn't it? What is the true cost of getting this right or getting it wrong? For instance, what is the long term? Like we mentioned earlier with some of the examples we already mentioned on this call. If you get it wrong, what is the true cost of getting it wrong? That's the biggest impact. So just obviously extending on from that question, are there any kind of emerging technologies or trends? You mentioned, as you say, some out there already with, say, like the Google speakers and the Alexas and say like the eye recognition stuff and everything. But are there any emerging technologies or trends that businesses should keep an eye on, kind of that you've seen, that's kind of at a conference or whatever, that's kind of drawn your interest, I suppose? And whether it comes to nothing or not doesn't matter. I say it's just more of a is there anything that's kind of gone, oh, that's exciting?
there's always lots of nice shiny things out there
Yeah,
for organisations, but if you go back even, the internet bubble many years ago, it's about harnessing the technology we have now for me,
true.
Ferry.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
super important to build trust and confidence in the market with clients and with customers. If we don't get the AI component right and the harnessing of that information, the personalization, the nudging, etc., then it may set the customer experience back slightly. So for me, the immediate thing, Perry, is to use the existing technologies to greater effect. And it comes back to delivering value for clients and customers, business outcomes for people, and for customers also. So those are, for me, I know that's not answering the question fully, but for
No,
me,
yeah,
it's
no,
about
it's interesting.
focusing on what we've got. Let's deliver value, let's build trust and confidence, and naturally that will evolve.
No, brilliant stuff. I think that's a great point. As I say, there is, and to be fair, that was probably it was probably the better answer to it, because I think it was something that was highlighted in our recent operational support report as well. Was there is so many shining tools that are appearing
Yeah,
every
yeah.
week.
Almost too
But
many
to
sometimes.
yeah, exactly. It's like I know we both do quite a bit of running and stuff. It's like the running. Every week there's a new pair of running shoes that's going to make you 1% quicker. But look, when unless I'm, you know, a marathon, 2 hour marathoner, which unfortunately I'm not.
You're a
What
Zoom
one?
X or Zoom Flyman, Perry. I'm
Yeah,
certain of
no,
that.
no, yeah, no, unfortunately I'm not. But
Oh, you know,
I
goodness.
do have
Okay.
a pair of super shoes, but they're I do have a pair of super shoes, but I got them in the sale. So mine are Saucony Pro 3s, but yeah,
Oh,
which I only
yeah. I
wear for
remember me
half
chatting about that.
yeah, but I only wear it for half marathons and below. I don't wear it for longer distance stuff. I keep to my
Good
long
man.
distance shoes for that. But you can say, because you know what, for me personally, yeah, what's a 1% gain for me over a marathon is not.
Oh, it's massive.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean, it is massive, but I'm probably not going to also see the benefit of a £290 shoe in that. But yeah, but a 1% gain over a 10K, that could be a whole minute. Which, as I say, other than that, I'm kind of going, oh yeah, a minute. When I'm running for over 4 hours anyway, a minute's not going to make much difference to me,
Yeah,
if that makes
exactly.
sense. But
Exactly.
yeah, no, really, really interesting. And
Brilliant.
you say, it's so true. There is so much more technology in everything in life. I say, like the running shoes or running clothing and stuff. I say, but just coming off topic a little bit. But yeah, I think it is true. Actually, just start with what you've got. And I think a big thing that I had with a client earlier, you might be able to share some insight and stuff on this, was exactly that. People aren't even fully utilizing stuff like Copilot yet, and Copilot's in.
Yeah,
If you've got a Microsoft platform,
yeah.
people have already got Copilot embedded into stuff like Teams and whatever else, and people aren't even utilizing that yet. So it's that
I think,
don't run before you can walk type of attitude. Just
yeah,
use what you've
I
got and try
think
to get the most out of it.
one of the things that one of the things I've seen recently, actually, just that going back to the question, obviously we've got ChatGPT and DeepSeek. Is it DeepSeek, DeepThink? Can't recall. Anyway, so we've got lots of different, emerging technologies. But the one thing I like the look of, again with caution, is the AI generated PowerPoint or
Mm,
slide production. Again, baby steps. You couldn't use it fully. You would want to use it maybe as a foundational tool to accelerate
yeah.
that process time. But I've seen some of those tools on the market recently. I haven't dabbled yet. I've got to be honest. But I'm certainly going to look into it. Ultimately, organisations have a culture and a way of doing things and their own collateral, etc. But I think there's a way to optimise that slightly as well. So been an interesting mergence with the likes of Copilot and other tools, as you say.
No, it's really interesting, and I won't say mention business or anything on here, but I've been doing some judging for across the industry, and I have
Yeah,
seen
yeah.
some AI generated award entries,
Oh,
but what was interesting across them award entries was the videos was very slick. There was no, it was straight to the point, which I think that has its negatives and positives. Obviously it was straight to the point. I got the answers I needed, etc., etc. But
yeah.
I'd lost the personalizational piece of someone presenting to me and understanding the journey that they've been on. But I do think there is that piece of both, isn't there? Really, actually, of going, the thing is, what you know, and obviously I'll try not to do it here a little bit, but the thing is that you can find when people are in a conversation, you get all the added stuff you didn't need to know. You know, business leaders now want the answer there and there on a plate. So actually using AI generated PowerPoints that then could maybe feed back into a human to go, this is how it works. But actually, could you cut out a lot of the stuff that you don't need? If you just say,
Yeah,
you know,
waste.
I think, there is a lot of waste in a lot of things, really. And I think, you know, you've worked in customer experience for a while, and I know I'm sure you've delivered many insight packs and stuff in the past. But yeah, actually, you know, it's one of them, you know, does it need to be a 10, 15 page pack, or actually is it just one slide or one piece of A4 that goes, this is the information you need to know? If you want any more, then here it is. But this is your key highlights, because actually the key highlights are probably enough. So yeah, really interesting points there. On some of this, coming back to some of this stuff we ever mentioned as well. So brilliant. So Scott, I don't know if you've got kind of a one final kind of takeaway that you'd like to share, or anything else you want to share. If not, that was a brilliant session. I'm sure many will enjoy it.
No, nothing additional, Perry. I'd be keen to talk to, you know, anyone in your network around some of the key points, or to expand upon that in due course. But no, nothing additional, Perry. It's been great to chat with you as always.
No, brilliant. And obviously what we'll do as well, obviously for anyone watching and has watched this far, we'll obviously share the we'll share a link, or if you want to just reach out to myself or Scott, we'll get the full report sent to anyone that's interested as well, on that.
Perry.
So brilliant stuff. Scott, thanks very much for that.
No
And
worries.
it's been a pleasure, and I look forward to speaking to you soon.
No, thanks, Perry.
Cheers,
Bye
Scott.
bye.
Thanks.